He has a sermon called Justification by Faith, followed up by another sermon called Sanctification by Faith. So if you want to see what his gospel presentation is, you just read those two sermons together. He has two sermons on Christian perfection, which again, perfection is not reaching a state of absolute sinlessness. No, it's never described that way. It's talking about living without sin, in other words, living without addictions like addiction to gambling, addiction to alcoholism, addiction to prostitution, etc., etc., etc. He's mainly concerned about people who go to church and then they go to the saloon and they don't think twice about it. In the sermon Necessity of Divine Teaching, he expresses his charismatic thoughts about how absolutely important it is for us to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit. And, the general theme of Finney is don't be a fake Christian because you'll go to hell. God will spew you out of his mouth. That's generally Finney's message. Don't be a fake Christian. You might be able to fool your family by coming to church, but you can't fool God with your fake profession of Christianity. You will go to hell if you mock God. God cannot be mocked. And that's what Finney is. I mean, Finney is just, he's another Wesley. He's different from Wesley. Wesley was much more of a hellfire preacher than Finney, I think. Finney doesn't preach hell as much as Wesley did. And I think that's because he was a product of his times. To be perfectly honest, by the 1800s, hellfire preaching was pretty much gone. I think. Hellfire preaching reached its pinnacle with Jonathan Edwards, and then after that it kind of wore off. So, as far as I understand. So I would say that the best age of hellfire preaching was the 1600s and the 1700s. After that point, it kind of wore off, and you can see that with Finney. He's more preoccupied with ethical performance than he was about the doctrine of eternal punishment. Like he thought that the doctrine, I think that he thinks that the doctrine of eternal punishment, especially justification by faith, was almost passé. Like, okay, let's talk about sanctification. All right, we know about the hell and the cross now. Well, let's talk about you guys need to stop being such lazy Christians. So obey the Bible. Pound, pound, pound. Obey the Bible. Love God. That's this whole thing. He's like, stop playing the harlot. Love God. Obey the Bible. Stop being such baby Christians. That's Charles Finney in a nutshell. And these Calvinistic pastors on YouTube that criticize Finney, I question their motives. I really do. I mean, how can you, nobody has perfect theology. I get it. But I question the motives of people who criticize Finney left and right like he was this evil man or something. Like, either A, you haven't read very much of Finney, or B, you have and you're just evil. And you're trying to, be in the in crowd with all of your Reformed buddies so you can hold down your Calvinist Baptist pastor job or something. I mean, this guy was godly. I mean, he spent so much time and energy pointing people towards sanctification. So much time on that. Speculative theology, ain't nobody got time for that. People are in sin. I mean, that's his mentality. Ain't nobody got time for that. He spends all of his time on holiness thoughts. So, again, these Calvinistic people who criticize him to the hilt, I truly question their sincerity. And I question their godliness, I really do. Anyway, God bless you out there. This is John with WesleyGospel.com.